What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time on a Sunday afternoon or morning, depending on where you are situated. I am Britt Devine here with our normal weekend crew. We're finally all back together. STL Cards 84. Congratulations, your Cardinals. It's because I bet the Mets yesterday that you were able to get the win, so I mushed it in your favor. Congrats on that. Also here with TJ. TJ, what's going on, dude?
Doing pretty well. I had trouble waking up this morning, if I'm being perfectly honest. But outside of that, life's good, and I'm ready to break down some baseball.
I think I have trouble waking up every morning. Correct, Justin?
I don't know. I'm just used to it, especially on these weekends. It's tough. It's like the alarm goes off at about 5:30 every Saturday and Sunday to write the articles, so I hate it. Usually try to sneak in a nap in between the writing and the show. It didn't happen today, but that's all right. It sucks.
A nap I would love a nap. I haven't had a nap in like a week, and I never napped before I had a baby, but I absolutely love it. I get very few naps, but I like it when I.
Yeah, now it's just sleep when you can.
Yeah. So happy Father's Day to everyone out there. It's a nice day to be a father. I had the Father's Day last year. I guess it was kind of new, right? You had a 1 month old. Now I got a 1 month old. So Father's Day, a lot more you can do with a 1-year-old baby than a 1 month old baby and have a lot of fun. But happy Father's Day to everyone out there. And other than that, Justin, I think we got to jump in because we got a pretty big slate in only a half an hour. Let's go right to pitching. Oh, I forgot. TJ's here. TJ, what do we got for Spidey Bombs? 50 to get the first one today?
50 for the first one. Let's go 75 for the second one.
All right, get those likes in. We'll get some home run calls from TJ in just a second. Card, starting with you. Pitching today, we've got Charlie Morton against the Rockies as the clear chalk of the day on both sites. It's probably deserved, but looking from a tournament perspective, you guys weren't on the show with me yesterday, right? We're playing, Logan Gilbert, and like none of these guys really got there, and some of the underdog pitchers ended up being the guys you needed to ship tournaments. Charlie Morton chalk day, is that another one of those possibilities where he's not the guy there, there's some polite guys out here who can have some good strikeouts. I'm obviously on Morton for cash. He's the clear pitcher, but what do you think of his overall probability of being the guy you have to have at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see it. Morton is the cash game play, right? Play him for the block, if anything. Nobody's going to debate you on that. But you're seeing ownership numbers. I mean, it's not like this is Jacob deGrom. You're seeing 30% on Morton and on Fanduel and 45% on DraftKings.
The bats got him up to 57 on DK.
I mean, that's crazy. So, in my opinion, you have to go elsewhere in tournaments from a game theory perspective. Not that these other guys don't have their faults, but you're looking at Peralta at about half the ownership, Luzardo at about a third of the ownership, John Gray at almost no ownership. I mean, these are guys that are just as capable of producing a big game. And in fact, if you look at xFIP, if you look at strikeout rate, if you look at walk rate, Luzardo's ahead of Morton in all three departments. And I know we're talking about Morton facing the Rockies, but Luzardo's facing the Nationals. And, Washington is a relatively low strikeout lineup against left-handed pitching, but still, I mean, it's not like this is a dangerous group. So yeah, I mean, I like saving with some of these other guys, and that allows you to spend up on your bats as well, because I don't think the slate is going to be won with pitching today. I think you just need a decent performance from your pitchers, and then it's won with the bats. So, Morton and cash, but I am absolutely not playing that ownership in GPPs. Frankly, I think you can make a case for any of the other high-end guys, maybe throw Varland in the mix too, at just, all less tตhan half the ownership of what Morton's going to have.
Yeah, we'll see what TJ says in just a second on pitching, but we did hit our first I'm lost for words.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thief.
Thank you, producer Rob, for saving me from the words that I cannot speak of. TJ, for Spidey Bomb, what are we looking at today?
Yeah, so Spidey Bomb number one, we're going to the very first game on the slate. Today for Baltimore, leading off, this guy's been hitting the ball really well. Jameson Taillon's been terrible against left-handed bats. You can find him for plus 400 over on Fanduel. Spidey Bomb number one is Gunnar Henderson.
Yeah, I can definitely get on that. The 400, maybe a little light from what I'd want to pay. Started off the season a little slow, but he's certainly done quite a bit here. So I'm going to follow you into that one. All right. Pitching, Morton, high ownership, TJ, tournaments. Worth it? Justin says, maybe not. What's your take?
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like, he's definitely the cash game pitcher. I think in my single entry, I'll probably be close to even today on DraftKings and my MME builds. But in terms of my single entry, holy crap, Gunnar Henderson just got scratched.
Oh, well, that's that. Yeah, he's not in. He's no longer on FanDuel. So
good karma today.
Yep, we're gonna have to come up with another one on that one.
All right, so Spidey Bomb number 1.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thief.
Literally 1 minute ago too, so I didn't even miss it. It was just like
literally right when you mentioned it.
Rowdy Tellez plus 470 over on Caesars. We got for Spidey Bomb number 1.
All right, I'll open up the Caesars app. We'll see if it closes on me within 30 seconds. I bet it does, Justin. So you want to use the FanDuel app. A lot easier to navigate thanks to our sponsor, FanDuel, for sponsoring the show. You can get up to a $2,500 no sweat first bet if you are a new customer there in a sports betting legal state. Make sure to check that out. Again, thanks to FanDuel for sponsoring the show. All right, back to, of course, I did bet the Orioles, a small bet on that one. But that one probably not looking as good with Henderson out of the lineup. TJ, let's get back to pitching.
Yeah, so I'll probably close to even to a guy like Charlie Morton in tournaments today from an MME perspective. However, on where I'm playing a single entry, I'm in the 121 over on DraftKings. I'll chill there a little bit. I'm not going to be playing Morton in my single entry team. That'll be the way I want to get different. They'll still think I want to play Atlanta there. They've just faded them last night. Really didn't work. They've been playing some great baseball lately. It's an awesome matchup. I think I want to play Atlanta in my single entry, so I'm going to differentiate a pitcher.
Who would you be? Peralta, Luzardo. The guy I'm on for sure at basically no ownership is John Gray. He's changed his pitch repertoire over the past month, has debuted. What are they calling it? Basically tweaked his slider to basically look a lot like his fastball. It's mixing good with his changeup. He's become close to unhittable over the past month. I like him quite a bit. I bet a strikeout prop of over 4.5 is the way I'm playing it, because I think Morton and cash is the correct way. But 4.5 strikeouts for Gray with how unhittable and the strikeouts going up over the past month looks really, really good to me. I've laddered that all the way up on FanDuel too, as high as they would let me. That's someone I really like today, TJ. From the ownership perspective, who would you be looking at?
Yeah, so my number 1 play today, I think honestly on both sites is going to be Blanco. FanDuel picking up on DraftKings, picking up about 25% ownership. Over on FanDuel, getting about 11, 6.3K over there. I think he's going to be my favorite guy on both sites. And then if I need to make some pivots for my SP1, because obviously on DraftKings, that's more of like an SP2 situation. I like Louis Varland is probably my favorite. I don't mind some Jesus Luzardo and not much else. John Gray, maybe.
I know it's Gray against your Blue Jays, but I'm definitely, from the strikeout perspective, is where I'm coming at him today. Cards for DraftKings SP2, right? We're all playing Morton. Who is it? Is it sort of like that double premium? Or are we all going all the way down to the Astro starter?
Yeah, I'm with TJ. I think it's Blanco. Decent strikeout profile. Has walked, a few guys, but he's looked better since they put him in the rotation. And it's just the salary. As I mentioned, I think you win the slate with your bats, and being able to get a guy that even if he only gets you 12 or 14, at $5,500. I mean, he's put up, let's see, his first 2 starts, 16 and 15 on FanDuel. Both of them were 31. So, if he gets you anything in that vicinity for 6,300 on FanDuel and 5,500 on DK, I mean, that's great. And I know Cincinnati's hot, and since they called up De La Cruz, they got a little bit more power offensively, but the bottom of that lineup is still pretty weak. And yeah, he's just so cheap that I just don't think like the Morton plus Luzardo build is optimal today, because it limits your bats too much, and we don't have the upside with the pitching, I think, to warrant spending that kind of money on pitching today. So yeah, it's probably like Blanco for me as my SP2.
Yeah, no Acuna, Otani, Olsen lineups unless you're using Blanco as an
Correct.
SP2 today.
Correct.
On draft.
I think I might lock them on DraftKings.
Just play. Yeah, I certainly understand, because if offense is what's going to win the day, you've got a guy who can get some strikeouts at 5,500, and I'm sort of in the agreement. I think we all are that offense is what's going to be what wins the day. Outside of, we've got the chalky Charlie Morton, but there's certainly a couple other guys that can post big games, but without that elite superstar pitching in great matchups, 5,500 for Blanco does look very nice as your SP2. All right, TJ, offense overall today from tournaments. We got, it's Atlanta against the Rockies for another day. That's a guaranteed 10 runs. We've got the Angels in Kansas City. I think they're still scoring runs from yesterday, which I think Atlanta's the team. The totals are a bit wider of a discrepancy today than they were yesterday. Atlanta's the team you want to use. Again, they are expensive, I think, on both sides to use all the players you want to use. Are you with them being a team you want to be overweight on, underweight, in line with the field? How would you approach them? And then anybody else you're looking at?
I'll probably try and go overweight today. Their lineup is just so strong. They're facing a guy who doesn't strike anybody out. If these guys are going to be making contact, there's a good chance the ball's going to be going pretty far. So Atlanta is my top stack on the board. I think following behind them, the Angels are probably my next favorite. I don't mind the Mets. I don't mind Miami. But Atlanta's definitely the top stack on the board for me by a fairly wide margin.
I did see something from YouTube, so I want to bring in the weather report over here. Detroit at Minnesota. It's orange-yellow, sort of on the borderline, to see what you want to do with that. I'm not really Varland. We said we wanted to use if there was any sort of rain risk in that game, Justin. Anytime I see orange at the front of a Roth, normally orange in general, not orange-yellow. Orange-yellow I'm a little bit more okay playing pitchers on. With the weather concerns, would that knock Varland down your list of players you want to use?
Yeah, I mean, he's not necessary to the point of risking the rest of your lineup, viability. So you don't want to zero. So yeah, if he's not a guy that I would say, you risk it and roll the dice with the weather, because it's not like he's some sort of must-have player. So yeah, if the forecast remains, iffy there, then I would probably just move to other options.
Yeah. And then what are you doing overall, Justin, for offense today? What's yours? I'm playing yesterday. I was very on the show with Tim. I was like, I'm playing Otani over Acuna. That worked out very well. Today I'm flipping it. I'm playing the Braves. I want Acuna over Otani today. I just think the Braves are in a really good spot. Are they your top offense as well?
Yeah, I mean, tough to fade them. If you've played the game theory approach on fading the Braves the last 3 days, they've scored 26 runs the first 3 games of that series. Just a bad pitching staff, depleted bullpen. Really tough to see the Rockies slowing down that offense from top to bottom. We know how much the ball travels in that park in the hot summer months too. So, yeah, I think it's the Braves at the top. And there's some other teams that you can consider for offense today. I think, the Mets are certainly interesting. They get Alonso back today against a lefty that walks a lot of guys. Actually don't mind the Cardinals today. Haven't really played them much at all lately. Now you're not seeing a whole lot of ownership there. Carrasco's been horrible. He hasn't struck anybody out. So I don't mind the Mets and the Cardinals. The Angels, more of like one-off plays against Agrinky, because he's just got such good command that it's hard to put like 12 runs on him, but don't mind them as one-off plays.
All right, let's go position by position. TJ, I want to ask you, your Spidey Bomb number 2 got stolen away from you. Do we have a Spidey Bomb backup to get another one at 75 likes?
We got backups on backups on backups. So let's get those likes up there a little more, and I'll be ready to go.
All right, we'll start with cards at catcher today. What are we prioritizing on a slate where if you aren't using the Astros pitcher, you do need to save money? Is it a Sal Perez? Is it a Travis d'Arnaud? Or are you going with someone a little cheaper?
Yeah, I like d'Arnaud a good bit. I mean, even on DraftKings, he's not overly expensive at 4,400. Obviously hit a couple bombs the other night. Pretty good luxury for the Braves to have 2 really good catchers in there. Francisco Alvarez doesn't have very good splits against lefties so far, but I mean, his sample size is still pretty small. Obviously has a bunch of power. He's fairly cheap as well. I mean, you can punt with somebody in your stack. You can play Perez too, obviously, if you got the salary. But I'd say Darno and Alvarez in the mid tier are probably my two favorites.
TJ, what are you looking for? Catcher, just a couple more likes. TJ will hit the Spidey bomb hopefully right after this.
Darno definitely going to be my favorite on the board. If I'm spending up, I don't hate the idea of going to Sal Perez or Adley Rutschman. I do like both of them in tournaments as well. I think my favorite punt is probably Yainer Diaz, 3K, batting 5th against Weaver. And then I don't mind Nick Fortes either.
Yeah, Cards, if you had to pick between Fortes and Diaz from a cash perspective on DraftKings, which one would you be taking?
I would probably take Fortes because when in doubt, take the guy against Patrick Corbin. Mm-hmm. I guess. I mean, I don't. They project very similarly. In my opinion, Weaver is not as bad as his surface numbers show. His advanced metrics are okay. It's not like he's an ace by any means, but yeah, I would probably go Fortes.
All right, TJ, before we get to first base, let's get Spidey Bomb number 2, which is actually Spidey Bomb number 3. Hit the music, Rob.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thief.
All right, Spidey Bomb number 2. You can go over and get this one at FanDuel for plus 390. This game's been trying to not play. It's been postponed, but Rafael Devers is Spidey Bomb number 2.
And we're going from
this late because I do like the bet.
We're going from game 1, correct?
Yes.
All right, so we'll get that in. I'll follow you in on that one. 390, swinging a hot bat. I'll go ahead. I like that call on that one.
And if we want to get one on this slate because they're not playing, that's more of a bet, and that you can't go with that one in DFS. This is both the DFS play and a home run play on FanDuel as well. You can get Eddie Rosario for plus 560.
All right, let's go to first base. Cards, cash game perspective. There's cheap, there's expensive. How are you handling this? I think it really depends on your pitching combination that you're using on DraftKings specifically today.
Yeah, because it's not a position that I absolutely think you have to spend on. Anderson for the last few years has been a reverse splits guy. So if I am trying to power rank my Braves hitters, I actually like the righties a little bit better than prioritizing Matt Olson. I mean, if you have the money to spend and you want to, I mean, obviously Olson is fine, but I would prefer if you can only get one and your other options are Riley and Acuna and whatnot. I would prefer foregoing Olson at the expense of taking those other guys. So, Rowdy Tellez is probably a better play on FanDuel I think he's like 2,700. I don't like him as much on DK where he's 4.4K. He's still projecting as somewhat chalky. A chalky Tellez doesn't really interest me all that much. Nate Lowe for Texas, I think, is an interesting play. Nobody's talking about Pete Alonso, who's just like he was expected to be out for 3 to 4 weeks, and suddenly Pete Alonso's back today after like 12 days, which is weird. But I mean, and Pete Alonso at 5-ish% ownership, I think is fine. If you're looking to punt, Alex Kirilloff, if that game goes, has good splits. And Jose Abreu has looked a lot better this month, and he's still pretty cheap everywhere. So those would be my values.
TJ, first base?
Yeah, very similar ideas. I like the idea of going to a value play of Jose Abreu down low. He'd probably be my cheap play here as well. And then in terms of up top, if I can get to him, Olson's my favorite. I mean, I do like Ohtani better than Olson straight up. It's just you can play Ohtani in the outfield as well. But if I'm only picking one of those guys, Ohtani is the one that I'd be going with. Goldschmidt, Tellez, the Spidey Bomb, and Alonso are probably my next 3 favorites for tournaments. And outside of stacking, I don't really know that I'd be going anywhere else.
All right. If you had any Washington stacks, Heimer Candelario has been scratched, so get him out of your lineups. Let's go to second base. Cards, and we do sort of need to speed this up to be able to get some questions. So, Cards, rapid fire, second base. What's going on?
Top play is Albies. Julien as a cheap play, I think is fine. I know TJ will be on board with that. Nolan Gorman has 26 Ks and 48 at bats this month, but he does profile well against Carrasco. If you're on the Cardinals, or Donovan is probably a little bit safer.
You like Taylor at all? 2K on DraftKings for cheap punt? Second base
Yeah,
outfield.
definitely don't mind it. And he's got the walk-off hit yesterday. So you
Yep.
get up to 5th in the order for the Royals if you get a walk-off hit.
One good play, you're up in right in the heart of the order for the Royals. TJ tournaments, what are you looking at?
Yeah, similar play. I think I wrote up Garcia as my favorite tournament one-off today, so I like that call today. He's nice and cheap. He's batting lead. He's batting cleanup, and so that's a guy that I really like today. I think Albies is my top individual play. If I can spend up, he's the guy that I'm looking to be going to. And then if I'm not going to Albies and outside of stacks, I am looking to get a little bit cheaper. I don't mind the Julian call. And then, like I mentioned before, Garcia is kind of like my favorite guy on the board.
Yeah, I think Birdie, too, if you're looking for someone against Corbin, is slightly interesting. Third base, we've got Austin Riley, definitely on FanDuel at just 3K, a complete mispricing over there. He's your guy you want to focus on. DraftKings, he's the highest priced third baseman, so it's a little different over there, Justin. How are you handling that?
Yeah, still trying to prioritize him. I mean, he's still cheaper than Olsen and Acuna, so relative to the other Braves, he's fine. So, yeah, I like Riley, and part of the other reason is third base isn't actually all that deep today. TJ just mentioned Garcia, so he's third base shortstop on DraftKings, which at 2,400 makes a lot of sense. Duffy's leading off, another punt for the Royals. I mean, there's some pinch hit risk here, but third base is fairly weak today, so I'm going to try to prioritize getting Riley for sure.
All right. And then TJ from tournaments, if Riley's going to be the absolute extreme chalk on FanDuel, probably a little bit more so on DraftKings, what would you do on FanDuel to be maybe a little different?
Yeah, well, obviously Riley, where he's cheaper over there, is just a absolutely phenomenal play. I love Spidey Bomb, Rafael Devers, who is available over on FanDuel to play. Obviously, there's no Gunnar Henderson anymore, so that's disappointing. I don't mind a little bit of Alex Bregman, but like I mentioned before, Miguel Garcia is my guy.
All right, shortstop, I've got Bobby Witt versus lefty. That's looking pretty good, specifically on FanDuel. You can reach to him on DraftKings. What's the priority for you? Is it Riley, a Bobby Witt, one of the good outfielders? Like, how are you ranking? What's the priority of, the bats you want to use today?
I mean, I think it's the Braves first. Like, Witt is a little more gettable on FanDuel. 5,700 on DraftKings. I mean, he's priced appropriately, and I wouldn't prioritize him. I mean, if you want to use him as a pivot away from that, if you're not playing the Braves or you're, building a bunch of lineups, obviously you can use him in GPPs. But cash games, I don't think on DraftKings he's a priority. He's great for tournaments. Otherwise, if you need to go cheaper, we've already mentioned Garcia. We've already mentioned Birdie. You can play both of those guys at short. Lindor as well against the lefty. I like the Mets today. So those are all guys you could play in kind of that middle tier if you can't quite get up to Seager or Witt.
TJ, what do you like for tournaments?
Yeah, Witt's definitely the top guy on the board. I like the Seager call for tournaments. My favorite guy to go, I don't mind a little bit of something like John Birdie, Francisco Lindor, like we mentioned, Garcia, you can also play here. But Orlando Arcia, I think, is a very interesting way to get different with the Braves today. And he's been hitting the ball stupidly well. So he's probably my favorite on the board for tournaments.
All right. And then to the outfield cards, you got to play Acuna or Ohtani. I'm on Acuna today. I would assume most people would be as well. Is that the right spend option if we're looking at one of these high-priced outfielders?
I don't know if I can give you the right option between those two guys. The way Ohtani is hitting 410 this month with ridiculous power splits. So, I mean, and Acuna gives you the steals, the power, the leadoff spot against Anderson. I mean, you can play whichever one you want. You're not doing it wrong. I have a slight lean to Acuna as well. But in terms of outside of those top two, I think my favorite is Soler.
Yep.
Big time power against lefties. I mean, if you put a matchup on paper and said, Jorge Soler, which pitcher would you most like to face in baseball? Patrick Corbin would probably be one of the first guys on that list. So Soler would be my favorite in the mid-range. If you're looking to go cheaper, Jesse Winker is still going to project well for the Brewers. He's back. He's hitting second. Tommy Pham has good splits against lefties. He's 3K on DraftKings for the Mets. I mean, there's quite a few value guys you can look to. Ozuna, some of those lower in the order Braves guys. I like Jordan Walker a lot today also. He's probably my favorite bat from the Cardinals. their top prospect. I mean, some places actually had him ranked ahead of De La Cruz coming into the year. And he's really taken some good at-bats this week. Homered yesterday. Carrasco doesn't strike anybody out. He's mega cheap on both DK and FanDuel. So, yeah, Jordan Walker would be my favorite Cardinals bat today.
All right. And then TJ, from a tournament perspective, if ever, I think Soler, Acuna are certainly going to be the top two highest owned players on both sites today. How would you, if you could only pick one of them, who would it be? And then who would you swerve to, specifically Soler, because he's in this mid-tier price range where Acuna, you could pick anybody else because he's so high priced to swerve to in a tournament.
Yeah, I kind of ranked them Acuna 1, Ohtani 2, Soler 3 in terms of my priority list today. If I do need to find a way to pivot off of these guys in the outfield, Kyle Tucker is somebody I like quite a bit. Eddie Rosario is probably my favorite cheap guy in the outfield today. Taylor Ward batting leadoff against Greinke I like quite a bit. Same with Hunter Renfroe batting fifth. So these Angels are kind of guys that I'm going to be looking to go to a lot in tournaments today. I like the Jordan Walker call, and then Ryan O'Hearn batting fourth against Tyon I think is a nice salary saving option too.
All right, let's go to questions. I'm going to go to Discord first. We have Baltimore, Chicago is the only game at 105. We'll stick around until basically the questions are done today. So let's get to those first. Going to the Discord for the premium members, MLB Crunch Time. D Gold wants to know Abreu or a Drury, the double dong from Drury last night. That was plus 4,400. Has anyone ever bet that to hit 2 home runs? I know there's people out there that do. I don't think I could actually ever click one of those and expect it to happen.
I've clicked it and I've hit it before with Rafael Devers.
He was a Spidey bomb. We got to go play. We got to hit the double dong for Devers today. But Justin, who you got between Abreu and Drury?
I do like Abreu today. I mean, I don't know. It just feels weird to say at this point, but yeah, I mean, Drury is fine, but I would probably play Abreu unless it's a stack of, the Angels.
Abreu's season finally turning around. Took him a long time to get the season going, but starting to swing a little bit of a hotter bat. All right, couple other questions. Ward or De La Cruz for FanDuel cash? This is from Mlb Dfs. Justin, who you got there?
I presume that's Marlins De La Cruz. I would go with. And now I forgot who the other guy. Oh, Ward. Yeah, I would go with Ward.
Yeah, Ward to lead off today. Sounds good. TJ, Carolina guy from Discord, wants to know favorite stack FanDuel single entry. Who you rolling with? Is it the Braves or you got someone else?
Braves is my favorite. Angels are number 2.
All right, let's go to YouTube. If you're a premium member, keep the Discord questions rolling. We'll get to them in just a second. Michael Radinsky wants to know from YouTube, lean between the Angels or Miami stacks today. If you have to pick one, TJ, you just said the Angels were number 2.
Yeah.
And I like
Miami's my number 3 for what it's worth.
I'm definitely on Miami today too, Justin. I mean, you get bats against Patrick Corbin, one or two or three of these guys having a big game today.
Yeah, and outside of Soler, they're all pretty cheap, so that helps as well.
All right, he's got a 3-piece, so this is for tournaments. TJ, pay attention. Drury, Trout and Ward, or Soler, Cooper, and De La Cruz. So this is basically Miami or the Angels. Which one's going to take that for you?
If that lineup already has Ohtani, I would go the Angels one. If not, I would go the Miami one. I don't really want to stack the Angels without Ohtani.
All right. Boss Bra wants to know, he wants us to cycle back to pitching, Justin. Give me maybe a minute or two on pitching today.
Yeah, Morton's the chalk. I am underweight that in GPPs simply from a game theory perspective because Charlie Morton is not Jacob deGrom or anybody in that realm of Jacob deGrom. He walks too many guys to be, justified as that type of chalk. So you're playing him in cash games. In GPPs, I prefer the pivot to Luzardo. He's my favorite. John Gray, all these guys are much lower owned. The Astros starter, Blanco, is probably your cheap SP2 today.
TJ,
I have Blanco in 100% of lineups today.
All right, TJ, I want to ask you, we didn't really talk too many of the Yankees. Someone's asking about Rizzo on YouTube. I'll even throw Stanton in specifically on FanDuel where he's 3,100. What are your takes on some of the Yankees? Still no Judge. Lineup's looking a little weak, but those are two bats I think are pretty reasonably priced over there today.
Yep, I'm with you. I obviously they're not available on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, I'm all good with playing the Yankees, specifically those two.
All right. Morgan wants to know, let's just get this out for everybody. Solaire or Gurriel and FanDuel Cash? I mean, Solaire is basically the first guy in your cash game lineups, probably on both sites today, right?
Yeah,
Justin?
I like Solaire a lot.
Yeah, Solaire is almost he's the top priority of anybody you're going to be putting into your lineup today. Let's see. YouTube looks like we've caught up on that. Discord looks like we've caught on that. I'm just going to go back on YouTube real quick, see if I can find anything. Kramer for Baltimore pitching. Is he make the list today for you, Justin, going up against the Cubs? Is he someone, as a deep tournament sleeper you'd want to play today?
No, I actually like Tyon a little better if you're going hunting in that game. I mean, I don't think either you really have to play, but Tyon's looked a little better over the last month compared to, he had an awful start to the year, and I'm really not playing either. I think you got to be getting pretty deep to get to either of them, but Tyon if I had to choose between the pitchers in that game. All
right. If you were looking for any bets today, I was on the Rangers. I bet the Rangers last night at -120. The line has moved a reasonable amount. I think it's 135, 140 most places. So I don't know if I'd chase that, but if you can find a little bit lower somewhere, I do like that. Maybe a same game parlay with John Gray, because the reason I like the Rangers is I'm backing John Gray today, specifically the strikeouts. His line's at 4.5, which is preposterous, even against the Blue Jays today with his repertoire change over the past month. If that continues, and I don't see any reason why it wouldn't with how successful he's been, I'm looking for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 strikeouts, right? Take the ladder all the way up on FanDuel as well. That's my favorite bet on the board today. Card, you get any sports bets in?
I have not yet. I'll probably do some right after the show since we've only got the one game starting here. But yeah, I don't know. I if objectively, I like the Cardinals today, but I won't ever bet them. So, I mean, for what it's worth, it's probably the first time I've actually liked them to win a game.
Just wait till they're up 3-0 or something, then bet the Mets live hedge, right?
That's how I do that. Yeah, yes, it makes me feel better when we blow a game. I also saw a video the other day of all 15 of the Cardinals blown saves in 1 minute. It was enjoyable to watch every game. They have 16 saves and 15 blown saves. Not a great ratio.
What's worse for you, seeing the Ravens lose games horrific ways or watching the Cardinals lose games?
Oh, I don't get as worked up about the Ravens as I do the Cardinals, so I can handle the Ravens losses a little bit easier. So yeah, the fantasy has taken a little more priority.
Yep. TJ, as everyone gets out of here, everyone click the like button, right? Let's get these up just a little bit more. TJ, run through. You got any other home run Spidey bombs you might want to get to, but we haven't gotten there yet?
Not in particular. No, let me look at my list here. I got maybe one more I could pop out for the people here. Let's roll with. Oh,
just kidding.
Just kidding. That would have been really funny. Best odds on the board I can find is you got plus 575 on Caesars for Ozzy.
Oh man, I hate opening that app. I'll do it though. What is it, TJ?
575 for Ozzy Albies on Caesars.
That's I think that's some pretty good odds there. I like them against the other side of the plate a little more, and we like the righties, so maybe it's a double discount on the home run odds. But Justin, that seems pretty low for Ozzy Albies today.
And while you're there, that looks like Walker for the Cardinals is 550 on Caesars as well, which are the best odds for him. So try to get 2 in and see how that works out for you.
Yeah, we'll see. But let's see. Can I even get 1 in? It looks like 1 got in. We'll see how that goes. Oh, no, that did not work. So we'll have to get to that in just a second here. All right, questions. It looks like it seems like most of the questions we got in YouTube are taken care of. Morgan wants to know Cooper versus Gurriel. I would play Cooper for sure. Cooper's like one of the highest priority value bats for me on the day too. And any of these right-handed bats against Corbin, you can just put way up the board for me today.
Yeah, I like Cooper as well.
All right, that should just about do all the questions. Thanks to Cards and TJ for joining me today, everybody. Thanks for Rob for saving me from some words that I could not get out from my brain to my mouth. Thanks for everybody for watching. Click the like button on your way out. I'm Britt, and we out ya.